This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Let's talk photos, not just storing them, showcasing them. You've got images that matter. Whether you're a photographer, a business updating your followers, or just someone who wants to share life's moments the right way. So why hand them over to Big Tech's one-size-fits-all cloud? Big Tech companies are the fast food of photo sharing. Quick, easy, but not exactly gourmet. And what about your data integrity? JAlbum.net is the photo sharing solution that puts you in control. Want to host images on your own server? You can. Want a layout that actually reflects your brand or style? JAlbum's customizability is unmatched. And if you're a business sharing regular photo updates with your audience, this tool was built with you in mind. But don't just take our word for it. Over 230 million web pages have been created with JAlbum, and it's got stellar reviews on Trustpilot to prove it. So head to JAlbum.net to download your free software and try it out. When you're ready to upgrade, use the code PODCAST for 20% off. Your photos, your layout, your rules. JAlbum.net.
Mall of America's mystery cards are back, and we are bringing them to you all summer long. Come grab yours at KFAN events throughout summer, and wherever you see our KFAN street team, then make sure to redeem them at Mall of America for fun prizes and big discounts. See full list of events at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Fast-paced, action-packed, controversial first hour of the Common Man program. But what's new? Time now for 5-3-4 here in the Fan.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1. And now it's time to go in the trenches.
ESPN surveyed league executives, coaches, and scouts to help rank the top 10 players at 11 different positions. And today's column, the first one they've done, is the running back position. Those coaches, executives, and scouts anonymously selected Saquon Barkley as the number 1 running back. Derrick Henry's number 2. Your guy, Jahmyr Gibbs from the Lions, at number 3.
So those first 2 are the ones I wanted the Vikings to sign as free agents a year ago.
Bijan Robinson at 4. Christian McCaffrey at 5. Josh Jacobs at 6. Jonathan Taylor at 7. James Cook at 8. Joe Mixon at 9. And Alvin Kamara at 10. Common, do you agree with their rankings?
Well, I will say this. With Alvin Kamara, you better not let him run like there's no tomorrow. I don't know. You're a bit more plugged into the National Football League than I am. Part of that is because you play fantasy, so you kind of get how some of these players are. Do you think that's about right? Do you think our guy for the Vikings should be there? Should Jones be in that category or not?
Yeah, I think Jones was kind of like in the 12 spot. Okay. So they did comment on him, and he was in the mix of getting close to the top 10. But I mean, the first couple I think are pretty obvious. I mean, Saquon Barkley was MVP of the league last year. Derrick Henry's been great forever. Jahmyr Gibbs. I think those 3 are easy. Bijan, I still don't know if he's really proven it at the NFL level yet, or kind of had like that breakout season. But given what's behind him, I guess I'm fine with him being there. Maybe the only guy you could argue would be Christian McCaffrey, and I get he's a little bit lower just because he didn't play a good chunk of the season last year, and he seems to always have durability issues. And now at his age, you get concerned about those durability issues. But, on any given year, Christian McCaffrey can jump back up to number one on this list. So he'd be the only question mark I have. I did see the names like Joe Mixon and Alvin Kamara and go, man, those guys are getting up there in age and they might be slowing down a tad, but there's really not a lot of great options available after those 10. So I understand why they would be in the bottom of the 10. So, yeah, mostly I would agree with it.
Yeah, I don't have a major problem. Is there anybody they're leaving out of that top 12? Did you say that, Jones, that 12? Anybody else?
I'd have to go look at the list again. You know, like Bucky Irving, who was a rookie last year for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was the next one outside the top 10. I think Aaron Jones was after that. But, you know, the other thing is there's so many teams now that just do timeshares anyways that, you know, if you're carrying the entire load like a good chunk of these running backs are, you're more likely to put up some big numbers.
Correct.
Question number 2. Vision for the division.
I think this is the third division we've gone through in our Vision for the Division series. We've already touched on the AFC East and the AFC South. So today, Common, the AFC North. Who will win the AFC North, and how do you expect the teams to be ranked?
Your first question should be, Common, can you name the 4 teams?
Can you name the 4 teams in the AFC North?
Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Cincinnati.
Yep.
Indianapolis?
Nope. It's the only team whose mascot I think is like actually not a thing.
Oh, the Browns. Yeah. What was I thinking? Yeah, the Cleveland Browns. Browns, Ravens. A-Rod is kind of the wild card. If he's brilliant.
Pittsburgh's the wild card, I think.
If he can return to the thrilling days of yesteryear, I guess there's a chance. Browns were a playoff club last year, right? Am I right?
Did they make
I thought they did. I thought they had no, they weren't a playoff team. What am I thinking? I'll take the easy way out. I'll go Ravens.
No, Cleveland was 3-14 last year.
Okay. I'd go Ravens. I know that's the easy way out, right? But, Lamar Jackson's as good as it gets. Now, he's finally added in the last few years a passing game with a run game. They're year after year, they seem to be the best.
They should be in the mix, yeah.
They should be in the mix. So I would say them. How about you?
I think I agree with you that Baltimore's the easy number one and that Pittsburgh's kind of the wild card. I don't really know what to expect from them. I will say Cincinnati, they got off to such a bad start last year, and their defense was like historically atrocious. If they can get competent defensive play, their offense was so good last year. It was a complete opposite. I mean, they did finish the season on a 5-game winning streak, and their offense was elite that second half of the season. Because you got Burrow and Chase and T. Higgins, if they can just get, like I said, an average defense, which I think sometimes the defense can be a little bit cyclical from year to year. If they can just get competent defense, like they could fight for the top spot in the division as well. I think they're probably the team that people are kind of forgetting about.
I do like Burrow. It's hard not to, and his weapons are elite. And weren't they for a while the fans in Cincinnati? Because didn't Burrow have a lot of success at Arrowhead? They were calling her Burrowhead.
Yeah.
So you're right. I would say, and you know what? I like watching Burrow play. I don't mind Cincinnati. But I would take the easy way out. I would take Ravens.
In Cleveland, I couldn't even tell you who's going to start a quarterback for them.
No. I was thinking back to the Baker Mayfield days. He's with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, he has been for a couple of years. Yeah,
I get so confused. Matter of fact, Tampa Bay made postseason play last year, right? Or was it the year before they made it?
Well, I think they made it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think they have. Yeah.
Question number 3. It's time now for a look at the Lynx.
Courtney Williams was named an All-Star, and she celebrated by matching her season high with 25 points. She added 8 rebounds and 6 assists as the Lynx beat the Sky 80-75 last night at Target Center. The Lynx trailed 24-10 after one quarter, but responded with a 28-13 second quarter. After that first quarter, the Sky shot 18 of 58 and only had 18 paint points the rest of the way. Lynx are now 17-2. We'll forget about the Commissioner's Cup final. That doesn't count in the standings.
Correct.
Common, your thoughts?
They I think it was LaBelle E. Neal 3 who said this when he was last week. We with Rosenau, we had somebody each day in that 2 o'clock hour. We had Morris, Russo,
John Bonus, and LaBelle E. Neal.
John Bonus. I think it was LaBelle E. Neal that said something to the effect of he doesn't think that the Lynx are using that. They thought they got jobbed last year.
Yeah.
And I didn't challenge him on it, but I think that's all. Maybe she's not talking about it anymore. But, I mean, Cheryl Reeve, I mean, that's all she talked about from the time the season ended right up to the time the season started. So I think I don't know if they are. None of us are in that locker room. We'd be in trouble if we did go in the locker room. None of us are in that locker room or in the team huddles. I don't know if they're using that as motivation, but their record speaks for itself. They're a juggernaut right now. My only question for you is, I'll throw one to you. Do you like parades?
Love them.
I think we might be getting one there. So I like the way they're playing. It's hard to argue.
That's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually, 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Dennis got a keyword for us on the other side going into the break.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword BILLS at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is BILLS. Enter now at KFAN.com. Thanks to friends at Unreal, you can restock your wardrobe with Unreal Golf Apparel this year, just like Common. Register to win up to $1,000 in Unreal Golf Apparel on our contest page. One lucky winner will restock their closet with amazing golf apparel thanks to Unreal. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter today.
The legendary Mark Rosen returns tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I believe, unless he was out for 2 weeks. But I'm relatively confident that he will return tomorrow. Brian Oak will be with us for Rock Talk at 1:30 tomorrow, or Wednesday afternoon. I'm Common. He's 10 to B. Number of emails have come into the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. I think we'll address a couple of those right now. This one says, not a Pollad pocket protector, but Varland pitched 4 2/3 innings in the 4 games before Sunday. That's why he only pitched 1 inning. Okay, if 4 2/3 stretched over 4 games is a heavy workload in the arm, I mean, he only threw 9 pitches in that inning yesterday. Are these guys throwing so hard? To me.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you have to go by pitches, not innings.
Yeah, that's
right. Like, if that inning happened to be a 23 pitch inning.
Yeah.
Would they have pulled him after 12 and go, you've pitched too much the last couple days, so we can't have you go the next 12 pitches here. We got to pull you after 12.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm with you. I don't, to me, that's, maybe that's just, I know they have pitch counts, and I understand you got money invested in guys, and the whole idea is to throw as hard as you can, hoping they'll strike out. But, and you know what? Look, we'll never know, but Varland could have went out for the 10th inning, and he could have performed just like Topa did. He could have thrown a couple balls away. He could have got rocked and lost the game. So it's, I just sometimes think my whole, and I've had the spiel before, is that it seems like everything is so formulaic and done. Just connect the dots. It's done by almost like it's an instruction manual from IKEA. This is the way you do it. You pitch this guy this inning, this guy, this inning, this guy, this inning, no more than this many pitches, no more this, that, and that. And I know you want to protect guys, but to me, it just seems like it's almost too calculated for my liking. This one says, comparing the Twins to the movie industry. If the LA Dodgers create a Titanic, they know they are guaranteed to have huge ticket sales. The Pollads created Howard the Duck. They're just hoping people will show up high enough to sit through their product. Mailman Kyle. Howard the Duck. Have you seen it? Is it good? I'm not even.
I felt like I saw it when I was a kid, but okay. I don't really remember it.
Yeah, Howard the Duck would be a difference. So I think I would rather see Howard the Duck than Titanic. Did I tell you this? When there are historical movies like Titanic, you know, it was a movie about a real life event, right? When they put in fake characters, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't think those two people that fell in love, it was DiCaprio and what was the actress's name? I don't think that those people were real people. So you're fictionalizing a real life event in it. But I did go see it, and it was well done.
I have not seen Titanic.
You know how it ends? I can tell you. Well, you live it.
I was gonna say, is it like a noon to 3 fill-in show? You
live it as the Lieutenant Fitzgerald. And one more text message, and it's Twins related. This one says, I pay money to watch Correa play shortstop all the time. Totally worth the price of admission. I think this is similar to another text message I got. It might be the same person that's just in love with the glove work of Carlos Correa. And he's nifty out there. He's a good defensive player. For me personally, I need more than just a shortstop who can scoop up a ground ball, throw him out at first. And I know it's more than just that. There are exceptional plays that he makes, and a lot of shortstops do. They look at that level. It is when I occasionally tune into a Twins game. Even when I went to the Saints game the other day, it is. I will tip my cap. This is not an idolization and pedestalization, but some of the plays that these guys make, they are. I mean, get that hot smash. You got to backhand it at the back of the infield, and you got to turn and fire and throw it on a dime and maybe make it a one-hopper. Yeah, these guys are all really good at what they do. Some are better than others. When
he's making like 25% of your payroll.
Yeah.
You need a little bit more than just a nice glove.
Yeah, for me, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, I put it this way. I would never say, man, you want to go watch a Twins? Yeah, I can't wait to see Correa scoop a couple of ground balls. Let's go. I'm willing to pay. I admire what he does in the field. Offensively, he's been pretty much non-existent, right? I don't know what his numbers are. They're not in front of me, but I know that's been part of the problem with Correa.
He's batting .256. 7 home runs, 29 RBI. His OPS is down to .678, which is the lowest of his career.
Yeah. So that's that's not, like you said. Is
also he's only been a Golden Glove Award winner once.
Oh, really? Yeah. So maybe maybe he's being overrated a little bit in that regard. Now, Buxton, on the other hand, because he is that, at least for this season, he's been healthy for the most part. He missed 10 days or 2 weeks because of the concussion when he and Correa collided, and then he had, I think, some personal time off. Otherwise, the guy's been in the lineup, and we talked about this last week. He's leading the team in almost every offensive category. And he's terrific in the field, even though I think sometimes he does a diving catch when he doesn't really need to do a diving catch, but that's okay too. It's an entertainment. It's the entertainment industry. We're all there to, we want the thrills, the spills, the oohs, and the ahs, and he gives you plenty of those. And he can steal bases. He's one of the fastest players in Major League Baseball defensively. He's a whiz, and now he's always been, I said he's always been able to hit. He's been very streaky as a hitter, but this year, I would think, I know we had the year played 140 games. I would think this is his best, to this point, his best season he's ever had. I think. I don't know. I don't have numbers in front of me to back up what I'm saying. It just seems to me that and maybe just because it's a recency bias because it's happening right now, but guy's by far the best player on the team. He's a position player, and he's doing that. If he could just get some help, and he's not getting a lot of help because there's the Brooks Lee guy's been pretty steady, I think. I mean, didn't he have like a 17 or 20 game hitting streak. I mean, that kid can play a little bit. And they have other quality players, but they seem to be also streaky. That's the biggest problem with the club. There was one other text message that came in that says, you're missing warm-up pitches. It all counts. Well, okay, I guess. It doesn't sound like Louis was having any problems with his 4. He threw 9 pitches in the 9th inning.
When's the manager going to go, hey, we're not going to do warm-up pitches in the bullpen anymore?
Yeah.
Before they get out on the field.
Yeah. Well,
save the arm.
Yeah, that's what I'd do. Save the arm.
Long term, that's the way to go.
Correct. Another break. More to come. Other side of the break, some controversial Vikings news here on The Fan.
Save the date for the 36th annual Polo Classic. The preeminent polo event in the Twin Cities is back Sunday, August 3rd at the Twin City Polo Club. Get all the details now at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Couple 13-14 past. I'm Common. He is Tennessee. A number of people are weighing in on the controversial topic of would you pay money to buy a ticket to watch Carlos Correa scoop up a couple of routine ground balls? Here's what a couple of text messengers said. This one says, to the Correa lover out there, Juan Castro used to play shortstop for the Twins and was amazing in the field, every bit as good as Correa defensively. Castro made the league minimum. You can get a shortstop with an elite gold glove for about $5 million and spend the other $30 million on the bullpen. So you have elite setup guys instead of the Topas of the world. I mean, putting together a major league roster, there are, first of all, money should not be an issue, right? If you are if you're worth $4 or $5 billion and own a major league baseball team, there's no salary cap. So you can spend as much of your own personal wealth as you want to field a major league roster. It's a drop in a bucket, really, when you're talking about being worth $3, $4, $5 billion. But where you spend your money, some of that I think is just preference. I would want to spend my money, and of course it's dangerous because with injuries, you lose a pitcher or two and you're basically out of it. I would rather outpitch a team than outslug a team. If you pitch and can play defense, you give yourself a chance to win the ball game. So I agree with that text message. Is that, back in my day, I remember like a guy named Mark Belanger. Do you recognize? I brought the name up a couple of times. I don't know if you remember.
His son was just drafted by the Wolves.
Yes, his son was just drafted by the Wolves. Mark Belanger was a shortstop for the Baltimore Orioles back in the day when they were a they won the World Series. They lost to the New York Metropolitans in 1969. I think they may have won the 1970 World Series. I don't recall. They were a thorn on the Twins' side. The first time they were ever when they split the American League and the National League into East and West divisions. The very first two, it was the first time they ever had playoffs in baseball, other than the World Series. The Twins qualified for postseason play by winning the West, both in 1969 and 1970. And as you would expect in Minnesota sports, they were beaten in the playoffs, swept twice by the Baltimore Orioles. And their shortstop was a kid named Mark Belanger. I don't think his career batting average can't be much more than 200, but the guy was one of the best fielding shortstops in the league. And Baltimore had a pitching staff in one of those years, I think it was the 1970 season, where they had four 20-game winners. Now, it was different back then. They let pitchers pitch deeper into games, so you had a greater chance to win. You don't see 20-game winners anymore. Now, when was the last time we had a 20-game winner? I bet it's been decades. Maybe we've snuck one or two in the last, but it just doesn't happen anymore. And that's okay, because, again, all sports, after a while, begin to evolve. But when you have, and then they had Brooks Robinson at third base. He was called the human vacuum cleaner. Think about that left side of the infield. Or would that be the right side? I guess that's the right side if you're out in the field. It's the left side if you're standing behind the plate. Left side of the infield, I think would be. We have Brooks Robinson and Mark Belangelo's like having a brick wall. I mean, you just couldn't get a hit on that side of the field very often. And then Paul Blair was, at the time, if not the best defensive center fielder in baseball, one of the very best.
Spencer Strider for the Atlanta Braves in 2023.
He won 20 games?
Yep. 20-5. Now, in the American League, it hasn't happened since 2019. That was Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander.
Right. I stand corrected. But it doesn't happen very often. I mean, back in the olden days, that was how you judge. Remember, for the longest time in the NFL, I think it was during the 14-game seasons, the benchmark for a great year as a running back was 1,000 yards, right?
Yeah.
Now that we're at 18 games, 17 games.
17, soon to be 18.
Is there a number they put on that you would say it's got to be 1,500, right? Get 1,000 yards in 17 games is not a big deal, right? It's got to be, you have to reach 1,500. Back in the day, you kind of judged your starting pitchers. Did you win 20 games? That was kind of it. If you were a 20-game winner, then you were one of the better pitchers. And I suppose if you won 19, you were fine too, but you get my drift. That was kind of that benchmark, getting to 20 wins. Well, that's not the case anymore. But when you had a team like Baltimore did, where you had one of the best defensive center fielders in baseball, Frank Robinson was pretty good out and right, I think, too. Then you have arguably one of the best fielding third basemen of all time on your everyday lineup, along with a shortstop like Mark Belanger, and you had the pitching that they had with Correa, Palmer, McNally, and I'd much rather have that than, I've got the 27 Yankees and we just slug the ball all over the place, because even the best hitters in the world go into slumps. Now, if your lineup's loaded top to bottom, you can have a couple of guys have slumps and the rest of the players can carry it, but I'd still rather have...
You usually don't get into fielding slumps.
Right, that's it. Yes, that's exactly right. This one says, Correa is the new Nick Punto. Plays good defense, but can't hit a baseball. Think about it.
Let's not go that far.
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
I love Nick Punto.
I would rather have Nick Punto right now. He's a lot less money.
Well, there's no doubt.
Ozzie Smith is considered a Hall of Famer and had a career batting average of .262. Ozzie Smith, the Wizard of Oz, probably the best fielding shortstop of all time, right?
Sure.
Many would consider him.
Guy did flips walking onto the field.
Absolutely. Here's another Nick Punto reference. I'd rather watch Nick Punto at shortstop. You could argue he had better defense, and watching him slide into first base is a lot more exciting watching a player hobble off the field. And, again, injuries, I don't necessarily pin them on the player. A lot of times it's a bad break, pardon the pun. It's just the way it is. And with Correa, you kind of knew what you were paying for, though, right? Because I think the Twins knew ahead of time. Doesn't he have like a metal clamp in his ankle or something? He got a couple of screws in there. So there's already a surgically repaired ankle he's had to deal with. And if you'll remember, I think both San Francisco and the New York Mets they had offered Correa contracts, but then for some reason they pulled out. And I guess I don't know if it was the injury stuff or not.
I find the Nick Punto love to be kind of humorous, because when he was here, I thought he was one of the best utility players in baseball in terms of a guy who could play any position in the infield, even in the outfield, could hit a little bit, right? He wasn't going to hit for power, but would make contact, put the ball in play. Like, he had some moments, and then what happened is the Twins decided to make him like a full-time third baseman, and he got paid to be a full-time third baseman, and he never lived up to that. And then people started trashing him. I'm like, we shouldn't be trashing Nick Punto. Like, the Twins were too cheap to actually go out and get a real third baseman, and then they tried to elevate Punto in a role that he was not capable of playing. He was a great utility player, off the bench kind of guy. And because we didn't want to spend the money on an actual player, then people started trashing him. So I find it funny now that he's getting a little bit of love. He should have gotten love when he was here.
Yeah.
He was a quality player.
Yeah, he was a quality player. I tend to agree. Here's one that says, Why would I support the Twins when I don't think that the owners are even supporting the Twins as much as me? I'm putting a higher percentage of my income into the Twins as a fan than they are as an owner. I bet some people are. I would question that. You know, and Tenneby, how many times have you and I had this discussion where it's like you just have different types of fans. There are fans that they want the team to win, and they are very passionate about their team, and they view it with a critical eye, and they watch things like payroll and ops and war and whip and all those things, and
BOBIT
and their
exit velocity
and launch angle. They're looking. It's important for them. Then you have the whole other extreme where, like I've said before, you have the family of 4 or 5 that just goes to the game because it's something to do. Sit out in the stands, have a nice cold cup, Coca-Cola, peanuts, popcorn, Cracker Jack, that whole thing. And yeah, you'd like to see the hometown team win, but that's the least of your concerns. And so I think, and the Twins probably aren't alone here. They rely on those fans for as much as they do the hardcores. The thing is, you would bring more hardcores into the stadium if your team was better. It's that, you know, you've said it before, very eloquently. Wait, hold on. Where you've talked about if you put a winning product on the field, you know, you'll probably have more fans because people go, this team's pretty good. They're fun to watch, man. They win a lot of ball games. This team's got a chance to qualify for postseason play. Let's go watch them. And you would generate more income with the better product you put on the field. It would seem to me.
The Twins' approach has always been, we made X amount of dollars this year, therefore our payroll has to be this next year. And I've always thought, well, invest in your payroll, and that'll create a better product in which more people are going to come to the game. They're going to buy concessions. They're going to buy Nick Punto Twins jerseys, right? Like, sometimes you have to invest in the product as opposed to just constantly reacting to how the fans are reacting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think that's what
But they were always afraid to lose any money on any individual single season, which there is a risk of doing that.
And I do believe that there are other teams that operate the same way. That's why Oakland is now the Sacramento Athletics, because I think they operate sort of in the same way.
To the extreme.
Yeah. And then you have, you know, the guy that owns the San Diego Padres.
Yes.
Didn't he?
He's put a lot of money into that team.
Spent all on, and it hasn't paid off. I think he's had a playoff appearance or two, but it hasn't.
Well, it's paid off because right now they are like top 3 in the league in attendance.
Right.
So, I mean, the fans are showing up and they're supporting it.
I guess what I was saying is that spending a lot of money on payroll is no guarantee that the team will win world championships. But I think the fan is more interested in.
But they have been a competitive team that have made the playoffs.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. The fan, that's what they're interested in. They're interested in the owner's making a concerted effort. He's investing in the team. They're putting a team. You know, they're in a tough division when you're playing against the Dodgers, who obviously have they're not afraid to spend money. So you're just better off. And I don't know if I'd have to go look back on. I mean, it's been so. It just hasn't happened that often where our team has been so good that I think we're selling out ball games. I would be willing to bet by when people started, because I wasn't here in '87. I was living out in part of the year I was living in Wyoming, and another part of the year I was living down in Huntsville, Texas. I think I told you I watched the Twins win the World Series in '87 from the cozy confines of my apartment down in Huntsville, Texas. And I would be willing to bet whenever became apparent to the average fan that this team might be something special, right? They started approaching winning a division and then advancing in the playoffs. I bet attendance was through the roof. And then we talked about it. 88 and I think 92, if I'm not mistaken, and again, maybe someone can, I just, this could be the call I've been waiting for my entire life. I'm going to get a call someday that's going to change my life. I just don't know when the call is coming, what it's going to be about, or who's going to be calling. But I know that's going to change my life someday. But my guess is the attendance figures to start 1988 and certainly 1992. I bet they may not have been selling out, but they were certainly getting more people in the stands than if they'd been a last place.
92, the Twins were sixth in the MLB in attendance.
In 92?
Yeah.
And that was in a season in which, if I remember, they got off to a great start. The year after winning.
88, they were second.
Yeah, in 88, they were second.
Second, yeah.
Well, that's just a coincidence, Timothy, that the team won a World Series and the following year people started showing up at the ballpark. And see, it is savvy as the Pohlads are with money because they're a very wealthy family, particularly Carl. I mean, Carl was, he's the patriarch. He's the guy that started it all and handed it down to his family members. You would think guys that know how to make money be going, wait a minute now. If our team is really good, a lot of people show up and it's a bonanza at the box office. Now, it's still the performance of your team locally doesn't affect, I know the thing you got going against you is even if you have robust ticket sales and you get a lot of viewership, the money generated by your broadcast rights aren't as much as they are in the four largest markets. But there's no way you can tell me that if you're second in attendance one year and sixth in another, you're not making a lot of money. A lot of people are coming to the ballpark. A lot of people are spending money. I got to think they're making money hand over fist. So. And look, right now, the attendance, if those, you said they were 25th or 26th in the league right now, and two of those teams
are playing in minor leagues.
Are playing in minor league stadiums. So it's not getting any better at all.
Three teams in major league stadiums have better attendance than the Twins.
And as this season wears on, unless they go on some, and not only do they have to go on a winning streak, I think you got to, if for the savvy baseball fan, if you look at the rest of the league, you're thinking, even if we squeeze in as the last wild card team, we're going to get battered around the ballpark because we just don't measure up to the Detroit's is, the Yankees is. Blue Jays are in second. Are they in second place right now in the AL East? The Blue Jays is. The Houston's is.
Toronto's first place in the AL East.
They're first place.
All 3 games.
Yeah, they're in first place. Yankees are in second, I believe. So now again, once you get to postseason play, anything can happen. But you're still looking at that and going, well, even if we get there, we're probably going to get battered around the ballpark. So what's the point? They would have to go on quite the winning streak. Not only to qualify for postseason play, but to get fans excited about it, to think, we got a chip in a chair and a chance. Right now, and then that all depends upon if they can stay close while they're missing Lopez. Without Lopez,
and not that the Twins would ever buy at the trade deadline, anyways. Like we've gone through countless decades now of them not being super aggressive, but now you're completely going to wave the white flag before the trade deadline, right? I mean, you're 5 games out of a wild card spot. You ain't buying, and you might be selling.
Yeah. And then we don't know. Here's the other thing that we don't know, because nobody seems to know if this team is even close to finding a buyer. They thought they had one with the Ishbias, whoever they were, and they decided not to. We don't even know how close they are. And then from what we understand, they're asking for more than the team is worth. And then if you do start, let's say you get to trade deadline time and you do start selling off pieces, does that make the team even less attractive to a would-be buyer? Does he go, well, wait a minute. the nucleus of a pretty good club. I mean, you have Ryan, Lopez, Ober, if he can ever get it figured out again. And apparently he's out. It was now. I'm a little skeptical that it was the hip the whole time, but that's what they're saying. So you have those three. Durant's pretty good in the bullpen. A couple other guys are all right. You got Buxton and a couple of young kids, and it almost sounds like the Fan back in the early days. I think we're strong right now. So if you're buying the team, but all of a sudden comes trade deadline and you get rid of a couple of key pieces, and then people go, well, wait a minute. You want me to pay 1.7 3 months ago when the team was actually winning some ball games in a 13-game winning streak? Now you still want the same amount of money and you got rid of some of your best players? At that point, you just say, I'm out. I'll go shop for some other baseball team. I don't know why I'd want to invest in the Twins. So, yeah, it gets from worse to worse is what it does. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Wild and the Timberwolves continue to try to build toward the 2025-2026 season. And there are some reports that the Wolves just might be sniffing around at a key player on their team. Let's talk about that on the other side of the break. How about that for a tease, Chad Abbott?
Yeah, what do you think of him now?
Yeah, what do you think of my tease?
Now what do you think?
I didn't think you were ready to talk Wolves, so I appreciate it.
But you know what? I came up with that tease in my new office.
That's the only thing you've come up with in my new office.
That's what the new office is all about. It's a new me. You doubted me. You doubted me. All doubted me. Having my own office has really made me feel better about myself. We'll take a break and come back with a little This That Loud here on the Common Man program on the Fan.